All right, now being 5:45, I'll call the Monday, July 24th meeting of the Plympton Board of Selectmen to order. First item on our agenda is a note to issue notice of non-exercise for 399 Main Street, Figueroa. And this was a parcel that is being, I believe it's going solar, I think,
Yes.
and they,
No, it's a cell phone, isn't
No, solar's.
it? Solar
going in.
is
Yeah.
okay.
4 acres?
Yeah, I don't think it's a large amount of land. I'm not sure exactly how much it is.
I believe Liz said it was 4
Nor-
acres.
4
nor am
acres?
I. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, this one's Mark's. Okay. All right, so, any questions or concerns about the, any type of exercise or non-exercising?
No, we don't have a
Our
choice
rights on
because
this.
we've gone by the date.
The
right?
clock has
Yeah, so-
ticked, and we
Yeah.
unfortunately missed the window of opportunity on this if the town was interested, but I think it is a small parcel.
And two pieces there. I mean, good to be reminded that there was potentially a flaw in the system, and we won't let a clock get started again. Also, we did look at that property. I spent some time with the open space co-chair and the conservation agent, and we once had this vision of a multi-use property, solar, agriculture, affordable housing. In looking more closely at it, it was clear that there's a lot of wetlands and there just wasn't going to be room to do it. So I don't think it's a missed opportunity. It is an opportunity to just make sure we tighten up the application process.
Good, which sounds like that was the takeaway from this, is that it won't happen again.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion then that we issue Figueroa a notice of non-exercising regarding the 399 Main Street property.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye,
Aye.
okay. All right, on to item number 2, the Harry Jason Park sign approval.
Yes, we had taken a quick look at this at our last meeting. Unfortunately, Mark was not here because of your illness at that time. This is being driven by the Recreation Committee. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but they wanted to get a sign up because the Dennett School soccer field is not in very good shape, and they want to be able to use Harry Jason because the grass is in much better shape. So I've been kind of advising and guiding them, but they were the ones who said, this will come out of their budget, and they'll be the ones who will be responsible for putting it up. And it is the Board of Selectmen who approved the signs.
So is it going to be two-sided sign?
No,
or one sign
One
parallel
side
to the road?
facing towards Plympton,
Ah,
okay,
good.
with the
Yeah.
idea that there would be on the other side, we could put a pole up with a little metal that says park with an arrow.
Okay. Yep.
We figure if they're coming from Halifax, that's no problem.
Yeah, out-of-towners. Can't get there from here. All right, yeah, it looks great. Do you have any questions or concerns on it?
No
Yeah,
concerns.
beautiful, well done. So, will they put it up this summer, fall?
Yeah, they're hoping that by the middle of August, they'll have this up in time because their program is going to start in September.
Okay, great,
And I walked through with them where they want to put it, makes sense.
excellent. All right, do you want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we approved the signage that's labeled A, Harry Jason Park, Harry Jason Junior Park, Town of Plympton sign.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right.
Great, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all your efforts on that. All right, so next item on our agenda is the pilot agreement for 61 Upland Road, and this was approved by town meeting. So we approved this at the May town meeting. And this has been vetted by both Borrego, which is what, New Leaf now, and our Board of Assessors. It was reviewed by our council, and it looked like it was good to go, and it was approved by town meeting. And this lays out that what we can expect in taxes from this property over the next 20 years. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Any questions or concerns?
No concerns.
Okay, all right, I'll make a motion that the town sign the pilot agreement with, do I have a copy of that pilot agreement? Free?
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. So we signed the pilot agreement for with the developer Upland Road Solar for the property at 61 Upland Road. All right, so we had a motion, Mark seconded. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the proposed agreement to allow transfer of ownership of land owned by Crescent Moon Cranberry on Upland Road, Assessors Map 13-2-29D. Discussion and vote. So we've got Jeff here, we've got his attorney here, looks like we've got a representative from Solarite with us as well. All right, thank you very much. So this would be the assignment agreement that we're being asked to sign because of the settlement agreement on the property between Jeff and the town. So we need to sign this assignment to allow them to continue with the change of ownership of the property.
Now, in this agreement, there's $1 million bond, am I correct?
I believe so.
Sorry, John, I couldn't hear what you were asking.
In the agreement, though, is there I believe I saw there was $1 million bond?
I'm not sure. I think that was in
In the other
the
agreement?
amended agreement for judgment, perhaps.
Okay.
I don't think it was in the assumption agreement.
So I'm fine with this. My only long-term concern is that we see solar companies, buying and selling these leases, and we start off where we've got a guaranteed bond, and then later down the road, we're not sure whether that ownership that then changed, we still have the bond. But I guess that's more for our process. It does worry me a little that our assessor is no longer with us. So I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I guess I'll ask Solarite when you're here. So what's the intention with the property?
Sure. So Solar Read invests in property that's supporting solar and other renewable energy technologies. We're obviously interested in the existing lease that's in place between Jeff and now Greenbacker, who took over the project from Borrego, now New Leaf. So as a result of us purchasing the property, we would be entitled to the rental income stream to that lease. But Jeff was, interested in selling the entire property, which, we're more than happy to do. And obviously, we're going to, be cognizant of all the restrictions that are on the property, with the uses that are allowed on the property. They're pretty limited, so if we decide to farm the property or do anything else with it that's considered an allowed use, we would have to approach the board again and get approval to do such a thing.
Okay, all right, so you're aware of all the restrictions. We still have got the conservation restrictions, which are pending and still a work in progress.
Yes.
But this is the first step so that you guys can do what you need to do to move the process along.
Exactly.
Okay. Did you have something you wanted to say,
I just
sir?
want to make sure that you understood that what we want to make sure is that Solar REIT basically stands in the shoes of Cranberry Crescent. That basically they tack on all the obligations that Cranberry Crescent may have with the town, so that the town basically has a counterparty, but the same obligations.
Okay, all right. And this document has been fully vetted by Council, I think Solar REIT Council, or Solar REIT, is that how you say it?
Solar REIT.
Solar REIT, okay, Solar
Everyone
REIT
gets
Council.
confused between right and
What
REIT.
Right and REIT, yeah.
How is that spelled? Solar Reese?
REIT.
T.
Yeah, Real Estate Investment Trust.
Oh,
But
one
it's-
of those.
That's what it stands for, exactly.
So I know Jonathan Eichman from KP Law and one of the attorneys from Solar REIT were working closely on the assignment language, and we got to a point where both were comfortable and satisfied with the language, while the town still has all the protections that we felt were necessary. So I think it's a good agreement.
Madam Chair, we did discuss that one technical correction that Big made
Sure.
on that second
So
page.
there was on page 2, it lists assignee, and that was, I believe it's like the, fourth line of,
Fourth line from the bottom on this, on that first numbered paragraph.
where it says assignee, but it needs to
Yeah,
say
there should be
assign
assign
or. Okay, so we'll make that motion that will amend that. And then this is not a document that the town, I believe the town needs to sign, but we just need to approve of the assignment. So let me just take a quick peek here that we're not missing anything. All right, so we need to do 2 votes on this. And the first vote is to approve the agreement allowing the transfer of ownership. And then the second is to stipulate that if further changes are required and identified, to approve such agreement with the changes directed by the board and or authorize the chair to review and sign to make such non-substantive revisions. So do you feel like you're ready to vote on
Yes.
this?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion that the selectmen vote to approve the agreement allowing transfer of ownership of the land per the latest revision as reviewed and approved by town council.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, my second vote will be to stipulate that if further changes are required and identified, to approve said agreement with the changes directed by the board and authorize the chair to review and sign and make such non-substantive revisions as may be required in consultation with town council.
I'll
So
second.
that's my second motion, okay. So motion and a second, not roll call vote, all in favor? Aye. Hi Candace, how are you? All right, so we've got a motion and a second, so that's on the assignment. So, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that is the assignment, and then we're on to the proposed access easement on Assessor's Map 13-2-29D, which is the Bog property. And that is, and then the benefit parcel is 13-2-29A, which would be Jeff's house property.
We'll make sure that reference gets onto that Exhibit B.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so that is the access agreement. So we were gonna amend Exhibit B, because it does not list Jeff's property with the correct notation, which will just need to be verified, 29A. Okay. All right, so this, Jeff and I walked the property 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, because there was just a description in here. There wasn't a map that was provided, and we just wanted to be clear as to the land area that we're talking about. So it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, it was basically just his house lot, which is, it starts across from the pump house, kind of midway in the road, about halfway through the road, and then it goes down to the driveway for the solar property. And then it it kind of jags around down to Jeff Randall's property, which it then abuts on two sides. Because it goes down here, and then Jeff's got the property.
Jeff Randall's for 25 feet along that
Okay.
wall in the back.
So basically, it's abutting Jeff Randall's property, that one corner. So it seemed extremely reasonable to me. It seems like this is something that's going to be necessary for Jeff to secure his own access to his own property with the solar company. We just want to make sure that he's got the protections that he needs.
Okay.
So, all right. Any other questions on that one?
No?
Okay, all right. So I'll make a motion that we sign the access easement with, and this is going to be between SolarReach and Jeff and Michelle Smith for the properties that we just discussed, so that Jeff maintains his needed access to his property when the bog parcel changes ownership. Okay. All
I'll
right.
second.
Okay, so we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so the next item on our agenda is, I think, basically just to kind of scratch the surface on this, and that's the proposed conservation restriction. And this would be for the bog property, which would be with SolarReach, who has a new assignment. So there's two conservation restrictions that were in play, and things may change, but Jeff needed to get the conservation restriction with National Heritage, I think. It was some type of trade-off in
Yeah, it
order to
wasn't
get.
Natural Heritage, it was
Was it
Wildlands Trust.
Okay, Wildlands
I
Trust.
believe is who they're working with.
And it was about 60 acres.
Yep.
That he was required to put in a permanent conservation restriction to create an eastern box turtle habitat, thank you. And so that is one of the conservation restrictions. And then the second one would be the conservation restriction that the town has on the balance of the bog property. So there's two conservation restrictions. My feeling is that we've got a ways to go on these, that it's not something that we're in a position to really fully even discuss or sign or vote. That it's pretty preliminary on that. Mark, did you have anything that you wanted to
Yeah, I do.
share?
Just a little bit further discussion, not on the conservation restriction that the town will have on the bog property, but the endangered species one, which was originally envisioned would be held by Wildlands Trust. To be clear, I'm on the board of Wildlands Trust, and if there are any votes or anything of that nature there, I will surely recuse myself. That board met late last week. Unfortunately, I had to be out of state, but there was some significant hesitancy, as I understand it, of the Wildlands Trust Board, that it was just, the whole thing was quite complicated, and some sense that if the town was holding a conservation restriction on the bog property, why not also hold this one? So I was asked by Scott McFadden, who is the Director of Land Acquisition or Director of Land Protection, something like that for Wildlands Trust, to kind of get a sense of this board of whether we would consider being the holder of both conservation restrictions. I checked with Liz, and she was fine if we went that route, that rather than Wildlands Trust, we would hold the endangered species protected area. I checked with Jonathan Eichman, our town council, council, he felt like that was all quite doable as well. And so we're not committing to anything at this point, but just to get a sense from you guys, so that Solar REIT would actually know how to move forward on whether you'd be okay with the consideration that the town would hold both conservation restrictions. Actually makes a lot of sense to me if we're being the stewards of one piece, that would be stewards of both pieces.
I'm sorry.
A memo from
Yeah,
Jonathan.
hold on just a second, Candace, yeah.
What does it mean if you're the holder?
What's
What is a
that?
holder?
What does it mean
I'm
if
sorry,
we're
hi,
the holder
Candace McKinney-Himlett.
of
What
the
is a holder?
conservation restriction?
I think essentially what it means, conservation constriction, which clearly states what's allowed and not allowed, and the holder is the one who
The ability to
observes
enforce.
and makes sure that those agreements are being fulfilled.
So there are enforcement responsibilities and rights?
Yes, yes,
So the town would be responsible for
Yes.
enforcement,
Yes.
rather than Wildlands
The
Trust?
landowner
Yes.
would be responsible for compliance.
Correct.
You guys would
We'd
be
be responsible for
if there was
enforcement.
any issues.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
That's my take.
all right, no, I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much an accurate take.
I thought I saw a memo from Jonathan Eichman to Liz just recently, since this memo was written, saying that it sounded like there was a question. Did I misread that?
His only concern in the consideration of the town holding the conservation restriction is that it could slow things down a little, in that it might have to go back through whatever it is, mass habitat or,
Yeah, through an environmental agency.
Yeah,
For approval.
yeah. Really, this is just getting a sense of this board, because ultimately Solar's going to have to find someone to hold this conservation restriction. And it feels to me like the easiest way to do it with this. Maybe we could still convince Wildlands Trust to go ahead with it, but there's some real hesitancy there. And just with the previous history of all these projects and their understanding that we're holding the other restriction, it makes a lot of sense.
If Jonathan Eichman is okay with it, then I'm okay with it.
Good. Well, I'll communicate that back to Wildlands, and they'll probably communicate with Solar.
Mark, would we have to have it as a eastern box turtle habitat? Is that a requirement? If we had a conservation restriction, could we just have a conservation restriction on the entire property without specifying 60 acres that have the eastern box turtle habitat?
I don't know the answer to that, and I think Jonathan said maybe, whether it would be one conservation restriction or two, I think is up to the attorneys to wrestle with.
I think that you're always going to have to deal with the turtle issue.
Okay, because it was part of the permit for the solar?
Right. There's an overlay turtle habitat on the property.
Okay,
So there's always going to be habitat creation for the turtles.
okay. Yeah, I think my only concern would be the absorbing the expense of enforcement. But I know that there is money that has been earmarked for maintaining the habitat and going out and counting turtles and everything else that needed to be done. And I think, would that then go to Solar REIT, that they would be?
Solar REIT would take by position. Currently, the solar developer, which is Greenback, is ultimately
Yeah.
responsible for getting these conservation restrictions done. New Leaf, formerly Borrego, is the one that has been working with Wildlands Trust on this conservation restriction.
Yeah, certainly Wildlands Trust would charge a stewardship fee if they held it, and I presume we'd do the same with the town.
Okay.
I presume.
Well, I know that there was mention of money that was earmarked. It wasn't a whole lot of money. I think it might have been like $67,000 or $68,000 that was for mowing and maintaining the property, the habitat, that would then we'd have to come up
Yeah,
with
those
something.
things, and essentially the money to pay someone, whoever the holder of the CR is, to check out the property once a year or more and make sure all the requirements are being fulfilled.
Okay. All right. So, it sounds like we're okay with exploring
Explore.
the town holding. It might be cleaner if we just were the holder. That way, there's no finger pointing as to who has the authority, that
Yep.
it would be the town, and then it would be our responsibility to ensure it's enforced.
I think I like the cleanness and the ease of it. We'll see.
Well, and it might make people feel better too, and that the town is holding this conservation restriction for that parcel. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, because then there would be opportunities for, I'm sure, public input along the way if we're the ones that are doing the restriction.
I think there'd be that opportunity, and there'll be a lot of back and forth between the attorneys.
Okay. Okay. All right. So do you need an official vote on that? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just had a question, as long as I'm here, I get the opportunity to be in front of you all often, it being my first time. With regards to maybe an initial draft of what the conservation restriction would look like between Solar Reed and you as the holder, even if we're just talking about the area outside of where Wildlands Trust turtles could potentially, is that something that you guys have utilized on another property and can be quickly drafted, or is this something that would have to get created from scratch, if you will?
It's my understanding it would
initial
be like following the template of the one from Wildlands Trust, with us doing modifications for the bog property. So it would be similar to the one that has already been proposed
Okay,
for,
okay.
but then we were also working with your attorney on that, and there's just a long way to go. There's some language in there that it could be problematic. But we'll work it out, and that's something that we have time to do. That doesn't need to hold up
Okay.
the assignment or
Right.
anything else.
Yeah, I figured if Jeff Smith and I wanted to continue to move the process forward, that this can come after the fact.
Yeah, this can come after the
Totally-
fact.
Totally fine, I just know I'm gonna get asked tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
no
like,
worries.
When we might be able to see, so I just wanted to ask to see if there could be some timeline that you would expect from this point forward, that we would maybe see something.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I would hope that we would have this done in the fall, but I don't think we're going to have it done
That's fine.
anytime soon.
Anytime this summer, but maybe.
No,
At least
no.
maybe before the end of the year, we can.
Oh, yeah, I would think we'd have this done before the end of the year.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah, hopefully late, early fall, maybe September, October,
Great.
hopefully. But I think a lot depends on who's going to be doing it, whether it's Wildlands Trust or whether it's going to be the town. So there might be, some discussion between Solar REIT and Wildlands Trust as to if they're going to agree to let the town hold the conservation restriction. So I think that's something you have to do on your end, is to allow us to hold that restriction, because I don't think we will start working on it until,
I know that
That's an
Borrego and Greenbacker, they're sort of tag teaming the effort with Wildlands Trust, and we've sort of been left out of it.
okay,
And that's totally fine. And again, we're just stepping into Jeff Smith's shoes here as the landowner, and he hasn't really been involved in that either. So if there's going to be a restriction put on the property between the town and Solar Reef for the area outside of what's Wildlands, I was just curious, from this point, now that things have been approved, if there's a
yeah,
time.
nothing's been approved. We haven't seen anything. I think we've just seen some very preliminary drafts,
Yeah.
but we haven't started working on anything yet.
Okay, fair,
So-
thank you.
So why do we need to vote? I don't see,
That's really-
I think it really wasn't a vote, it was just, Mark was gauging interest, whether the town would even
Fine,
be
no,
interested in holding that
I'm
conservation
fine with that, I
restriction.
just don't see us voting right.
Oh, no, we have nothing to vote on.
No,
I
nothing
mean,
to vote.
really what this comes down to, solar's responsibility, they're going to have to get a conservation restriction from someone. It looks like Wildlands Trust, they certainly have tabled the discussion for now. I may be still open to further discussion, but may be questionable whether they want to proceed. So we're really offering another avenue for solar to keep this
Okay.
moving on, which is through the town. Whether we'd actually agree to that would, of course, depend on, the agreement that we negotiate.
Minutia.
So
Right.
really, this is just offering solar another avenue to get done one more piece that they have
The
to get done
conservation
in this
restriction.
process.
Okay, on the turtle
Yeah.
preserve habitat. Okay. All right, so no need to vote on that. I do need to back up, and I'd like to revote the easement.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to, this will be, there's going to be 2 votes again on this one, just like we did for the first one. So the first vote is I'm going to make a motion that we approve the proposed access easement per the latest revision as reviewed and approved by town council. So that's the access easement agreement, and that would be that between Jeff and Solar REIT, so that he can have full access of his property.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, my second vote is to stipulate that if further changes are required and identified, to approve said access easement with the changes directed by the board and authorize the chair to review and sign and make such non-substantive revisions as may be required in consultation with town council.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, so I think that is everything we have, Jeff, with you guys.
Yep.
Okay, so more to come on the conservation restriction. I think that that's something that it'll be a work in progress, and I think it'll be a very open and transparent process as we start to do that, soliciting input so that we make sure that we address other people's concerns as well, the neighbors and abutters and all of that. So, got a ways to go on that, but that's not going to stop whatever you guys need to do to continue with your process.
All right.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, thank you for coming. All right, so,
Christine, so
Yep.
we'll revisit that in September, October?
I think what's going to happen is we have to determine whether or not the town is going to hold the conservation restriction for the eastern box turtle habitat, which it sounds like we're interested in holding that it would be cleaner for both the parties, or actually everybody involved with that. But it's not something that we're going to be rushing into. There's going to be quite a bit of work that needs to be done with it. So
And what's the second restriction?
there's 2 restrictions. Okay,
Box
so
turtle
one, we've got
habitat.
the box turtle habitat, which Wildlands Trust is not interested in holding. So that's the one that we have to, I think New Leaf or Borrego has to work that out with Wildlands Trust, whether they're okay with us holding it, because I think it is going to slow things down a little bit, because there's going to be some extra steps that are involved with some state agencies. So that's one of them. The second one is the conservation restriction that will be on the bog property, which is already,
With that.
right. So there'll be 2 conservation restrictions for the whole parcel. And one of them will be just specific to the eastern box turtle habitat, which is about 60 acres of the whole parcel. So more to come on that one. Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Do you have a card, sir?
Yeah, I'll
Drop us
I
off.
can drop off a
Perfect.
couple for everybody.
Okay. All right. So Candace, I'll keep you in the loop where we are with
How to get to you, Jeff?
the conservation restriction and,
I know where you live.
Would it be appropriate, is this the right venue for me to inquire regarding conditions, the building permit, where we are in the process, notice?
really, you need to talk with Tom Milius.
And once that's been done,
Then, I mean, really, the building permit is always going to be with the
Right.
building department. The conservation restriction will be with the town.
But the
And that will be
conditions-
with us.
The conditions leading to an enforcement of,
That's all going to be building
Building?
department, yes. Tom Milius.
lack of notice, same, probably same.
Yeah, probably same. Yeah, Tom Milius. Yeah, yeah. Because he does the zoning enforcement as well, Tom does.
He does.
So, yeah.
Along with.
Along with the building inspector, all of that. So he's going to be, he and Kathy will be your point people for the permit. Yeah, not really planning board, because once planning board signs off on it and
Right,
they start
they-
construction,
right, they're
then
doing
it
something
goes
on the
to
elevation change.
building department. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if those guys are downstairs today?
They
Building
were-
department?
Building?
Is building
No.
down there
No,
tonight?
no, I
Building's
think
all
planning.
upstairs.
They
Building,
live upstairs these days.
Or, okay, are they in the building today? Is
No.
planning?
Somebody's
I
downstairs.
believe
think it
planning might be
planning.
downstairs.
Okay, but not the building
No.
department, okay. And Candace, you've got Tom's contact information, you've been in contact with him?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
okay, good, good.
And who's Candace?
Candace is at 25 Dukesbrook, and she is one of the abutters to the project. She's probably actually one of the closest abutters
Okay.
to the project. Yeah, it's actually Bob's former residence, yes.
I missed it all, but I'm sure it's all good. It's all good.
All good, all good, yeah.
All good.
So, yeah, let me know if you need contact information or point you in the right direction. Happy to help.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right, thank you. Thank you all for coming in. All right,
you.
good night.
See you later.
All right, so, Bree,
Did you get cards from?
Yeah,
Yes, I need
how about
one.
warrants paid?
there's one for you.
$78,263.83.
$78,000.
$263.83.
Thank you.
It is high because it's renewal time for insurance policies and so
Okay,
forth.
thank you. Makes
You know,
sense.
I have to question, why do we even bother with the warrants paid?
I think we have to with it was one of the municipal things that allowed us to go through the agenda faster, to be more efficient. We need to put warrants paid on there, that's why.
Thanks for
So
asking
that's
the
a-
question.
that's a state law?
I don't know if it's a state law, but I believe it's something that we're supposed to be covering in, it's kind of a, not really consent agenda thing, but.
But I know that Liz looked into it and we needed to put
Yeah,
it on.
and we,
Just
yeah, ask
give the
Liz on
amount.
that one. Okay, so we've got a couple of pieces of correspondence there on use of town property. And do you have those, Bree?
Yes, and this is for the Plympton Firefighters Association of Plympton Public Library for a movie night.
For what?
Movie
A
night.
movie night.
Okay.
All right, so this is, I saw it on their Facebook page. It looks really neat. So, no, I'm not on Facebook, but you don't have to be a member to look at public pages.
I was shocked.
I know. Well, I do. I go onto our Facebook page, and I go onto the police, and I go onto the fire. All right, so
It's a start.
it is. It's probably as far as I'm going to go, but it is a good start. All right, so the date of the request is 7/26. What day of the week is that? Do you know, Bree?
Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. And
Today's 24th, 25th, 26th.
It's this week.
27th.
okay, so it's Wednesday.
Is that 26th?
Yes, 7/26. Okay,
It's
so
on
it's
7/26. And the
7/26.
launch is a Wednesday.
Okay, 8 p.m. And looks like they're expecting about 10 vehicles, about 30 people to attend. And they will be serving food. I think they were accepting donations, I believe, for the food. That's how it was worded. And they said what the movie was, but I can't remember what it was. But it,
It's kids oriented.
yeah, it's a kid's movie.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't recall what it was. Okay, so, any questions or concerns about, fire department doing this?
Not
Okay.
at all.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we authorize the This is the Plympton Firefighters Association and the Plympton Library to use the Holt Field
Yeah.
for a movie night this Wednesday, starting at 8 PM.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
And do we have another one?
No,
Just one.
Just
Okay,
one.
just the one?
Okay.
And today is the 24th?
Yep.
24th, thank you. Okay, so that was that. Okay, so,
Hey, while you're signing things, do you want to sign this one?
Yes.
And get that back to Bree?
yep, you got it. So that goes back to Bree. And this was the pilot, which
thank
you
you.
can sign that after. I'll give this one back to Bree. So this was the not exercising, or non-exercising vote. So there's that one for Bree. All right, so the next item on our agenda is ratifying final 2020 FY '23 budget line transfers to,
Did you want to
for the finishing out the year.
Yeah, but I can get it after.
Okay.
You got one?
Yeah, this
Oh,
is a
okay.
I'll write copy on here.
Have you
so
seen
you'll
those,
know.
Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. All right, so this is just the housekeeping.
Yeah, we do this every
Every year.
year, and it's, it makes sense, and we should vote it.
Okay, all right. Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we ratify the final FY '23 budget line-to-line transfers as presented on this year-end closeout copy.
All right, I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
You have to sign.
this, okay, thank you. All right, so it looks like we've got some minutes from two meetings on 6/26.
I need,
Thank you.
do you have a couple of those other things that I gave you too that?
Yeah,
we
I haven't
put
signed them
together?
yet. I've got to get them back to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Mark, you did, I think you did both
Yeah.
the executive session. And
Yep.
is that all we had on 6/26?
6/26,
Oh, you have me.
there was
Okay,
an
so-
open session
Right
and an
now,
executive
so I
session.
Okay. You gave us the open session notes? Okay, so
Oh,
we'll
6
hold the open session from 6/26.
No, I have that. I did that one and distributed.
Okay.
Yes, 6/26, open session.
Okay.
Oh, I have 6/26 open session.
No, I don't think you were,
This is not, it's purpose two. This is 6/26 executive session, so we'll get to that
Okay.
in a
You
couple
usually vote
minutes.
your executive session in executive session. I don't do them.
Yeah,
No.
you usually.
you usually don't,
In
okay.
case you have.
But we have, so there's no regular session from
I-
6/26.
I don't have
Oh, we
that.
have our executive session, which
Yeah.
we can hold till executive session. Okay.
Exactly.
So Bree, we'll hold the
Yeah, you'll have
6/26
two sets
minutes?
to do on 8/7.
Perfect, okay. All right, any other, I don't think we've got any other business tonight.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, any raves?
Yeah, I got some raves. Rave for the Fire Chief Search Committee. What an excellent job they did. So glad to, I think that's process of having a committee of, two fire chiefs, the moderator, the town administrator, and the police chief were resulted in a very good decision. I got a shout out for, this has nothing to do with the town, but Project Arts is the music that goes on Wednesday evenings down on the waterfront in the state park.
So good.
And it is a great opportunity. It's free, and I would encourage anybody to go out and see that.
Is it every Wednesday night?
Every Wednesday night until roughly the end of August.
Rain or shine?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's down at that open air
Yes.
venue?
We sit up on the hill, okay? They call us the Hillbillies. But you can look down and, we bring books and read and listen to the music. And it's nice. It really is a pleasant, and it cost me $2 for parking.
Perfect. Can't go wrong.
Where else can I go?
No, no kidding. For some live music?
Good bands, too.
Do you have anything?
So I think my rave is the way things kind of naturally, organically slow down during the summer, just because people are on vacation, gives us all a chance to catch our breath a little, get a bit bigger perspective, so that we kind of gain some momentum with direction as we head into the fall.
I think my rave would be I guess the possibility of the town having the conservation restriction for the eastern box turtle. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
beautiful.
exciting, that, an exciting step for the town to really take some ownership of a very important issue, and being that it's right in town.
Thank you for bringing that up. Also, the piece that wasn't brought up is the box turtle protected areas contiguous with town-owned land behind the Dennett. So that, though that won't be a recreation area, it's just building on the greenway through town, and protected land through town in a really beautiful way. Sorry to
No,
jump
no,
on
yeah,
your
and it's
rave.
a beautiful forested area that, that would be protected. And as Mark said, it abuts the Dennett, so, yeah, all good, so,
Great.
so that's pretty exciting. All right, so, we've got to do a brief executive session, so I'll make a motion that, we adjourn open session, we go into executive session for the purpose of number 2, and upon completion of our, collective bargaining session or negotiations with the fire chief, this is contract negotiations, that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call vote, Mr. Trainer,
Aye.
Mr. Russo,
Aye.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, all right. So we are all set for the night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Bree.
great evening.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you, John.